Changing the fuel line on a Stihl FS90 trimmer isn't very easy. It's not just one line, there's a connector in between the fuel lines, and it's hard to get down into the tank to get that out. A lot of times the fuel line inside the tank cracks or breaks or falls off, or it can even twist around in there, causing you to not be able to get fuel to the carburetor. So what you need to do is you need to remove this to get to the line. The first time I tried to remove the fuel line, I realized that this could be a difficult process. The easiest way I found to do it is to completely remove the carburetor, and that gives you access to get to the cap to pop that connector out to get your fuel line out. So use your 5/16 socket, remove the air filter, and remove the two nuts that hold the carburetor on. And again, we're going to remove the carburetor. This will give us easier access to get to that vent to pop it off. After you get these two nuts off, pull the vent hose that holds the air filter cover. Remove that. Remove your throttle cable and your two fuel lines from the carburetor. And there's another hose that's connected to the back of the carburetor. Use one finger to hold that, and your other fingers to pull on this carburetor to pop it off. And now you've got the carburetor off, and that gives you easier access to get to this cap. That's the fuel line connector right there. Notice this tab. We're going to be very carefully prying up on that tab, but you got to be really careful because it will break. So the easiest way to do it is to get yourself some WD-40, and you spray a little bit on top of that connector. And then take a large flathead screwdriver and just slightly ease up on that cap, pry up on it just a little bit so you can work that WD-40 down into the top of the cap. There's an O-ring in there, and the more WD-40 you get down in there to lubricate that, the easier it'll be to pry that cap off. And just continue to slowly and carefully work that tab until you finally pop that cap out. I mean, it may take a while, but it will come off. And there you go. And there you have access to your fuel line. You can put a new fuel filter on. When you're ready to put it back on there, the easiest way I found is to take two large flathead screwdrivers, put one on one side and one on the other side, and firmly press down until the cap pops back into place. And you'll feel it pop back into place, and as you see, it is replaced. Now all you have to do is put your carburetor back on, put your air filter covers back on, and you successfully changed that bottom fuel line. If you're just wanting to change your fuel filter, you don't need to do that. What you can do is you can get yourself a wire or something with kind of a hook on it and just take your fuel cap off and reach down in there and pull the line out and replace your filter that way. You don't have to do all of this just to replace the filter, but to replace that fuel line, I found that that's the easiest way to do this. So after you put your carburetor back on, attach your fuel lines and your throttle cable, put the hose back on the vent cap, secure your air filter holder with the two nuts, put your air filter back in and put the cap back on, and you should be good to go.